So we'll call the meeting to order tonight at 5:08. Thank you. I'll chair tonight with JR on the road, but he is on the line, so call for a roll call. Carla is absent with notice. JR. Wade online. Elizabeth, Mary Elizabeth. Thank you.
Here.
Joanna's here. Here. Thank you. I'm here. And Teresa's online. And Eric's in the room. And we have a new board member or commissioner, Tracy Davidson. Welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Nice to meet you.
Me too.
And it will just go for approval of the agenda.
Oh, I was like, wait, you're here.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Yes.
We'll
What
give
is that?
It's
the first to Johanna and the second to Mary Elizabeth. And before we go to approval of the minutes, I just want to welcome Tracy. And we don't get to see your application, so will you just say hello and just give us a little background of why you're here and
Yeah,
how long you've been in Oak Harbor?
I would love to.
Okay.
I've been in Oak Harbor for months, literally under a year. No, yes, this is something that I've always wanted to do, be a part of local government. And when my husband and I moved here in January, I just knew this is the community that I wanted to engage with and participate in on some kind of commission. So part of my background that kind of led me to, I got a smidgen of interest from being the board president of our HOA for 6 years and being a fundraiser lead for a nonprofit in Seattle, as well as just some of the engagements that I've done over the years. And having an undergrad in art as well, I thought that was a perfect match too, because then, that's something that I've always believed in. The arts sometimes can get missed for some of those subjects that are maybe quote unquote money producers, or things that you would get build a career around or something like that. But I think the arts is very important for a healthy community, and it shows that if Oak Harbor has this kind of vitality around it, around the arts, that speaks highly of the community. So
Great, thank
excited.
you, and
Yeah.
congratulations on your appointment. I think
Oh, thank you.
Mayor did that on Tuesday, right? Yep. So the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from May 11th. Does anybody have any comments on those? Okay, I actually have one comment by way of JR. I know it was there, and that's, I called him today to ask about, it's in number 6, member comments.
Okay.
And the first bullet,
Yeah.
he was excited to be a part of the advisory committee regarding the box wrapping. I didn't understand the connection. And he just clarified that he announced that the funds for the wrapping of the electrical boxes was approved because the school superintendent was part of that committee as well as the vice principal. So with that change, can we get a motion to approve the minutes? With a change.
Yes.
Joanna gets the first, a second.
Mary.
Mary Elizabeth, thank you. And public comment. Is there anybody online, Sabrina?
We have to approve.
What's that?
Stuff we approved.
The minutes? Oh, all in favor of approving the minutes with the change. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're getting there.
Maybe I put my glasses on.
Oh,
Public comment. We open the floor for public comment. There's no one here in the room. Is there anybody online, Sabrina?
Nope,
Okay.
don't have anybody extra.
And then a number 5, just discussion, action, presentation, report items. Ryan?
Chris.
You up?
Am I?
Yeah.
I don't know that I have an update on these
Okay.
Kennebrew collection. I think last time we talked about it, we okay, back here with a minute. Let's see. So meditation has been installed. Right now, not going. We talked a little bit about some concerns of it being on private property, but the agreement kind of speaks to all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have an update as far as
Okay.
that goes. Pocket Park, we're just putting some safety improvements in there. And then 3 totems, I think we were going to have a discussion about location, right?
Does that have to go back to the Parks Board at this point, even though they
Location.
approved it before? With Laura's concern,
What was the concern?
I wasn't there.
I don't know. I wasn't there when we went to the Parks Board.
Okay.
Do you know what the approval was from the Parks Board?
I
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. So the concern was, is it going to impact the Centennial Grove? You know, you can only have so many people, like 18 people on the site. It's a one-way safety zone issue. It didn't seem to be a concern for us. So we talked with Laura about that, and she was okay with it after our discussions with her. So we can either go forward with it at Centennial Park, but I think from what I remember in our discussion last month, we were going to have talk about
Okay.
alternative locations. And we
Okay.
want to go forward with the Centennial Grove. I don't know that we need to bring it back to the Parks Board for
Okay.
approval, but I can mention it. Most of them I knew, so
Mhm.
probably not bad.
And then it would go to council along with the second or the last piece, because that was going to be,
Yeah, I would definitely make sure, and before installation of any piece, we have a not just a signed contract, but a clear approval from council. They are good with that. Had opportunity for public comments on the location.
okay.
Just to, because it's been a while for me, just to remind me of the Centennial Grove, I remember that there was some issue about the oaks, is that right? And
Well, that's
then-
like, yeah, what we were talking about. I think she was more worried about the safety and because of the fly zone or
Right.
flyover zone. Originally, that location was selected with 4 of the council or the people here around the table, thinking that when someone came in to Oak Harbor and saw the welcome sign of the airplane,
Mhm.
it would start the collection at the top there, and then Pocket Park, then Boys and Girls Club, and then originally we had suggested to bring it down to Flintstone Park, but with the Angel of Creativity going in there, that needs to be reconsidered too. So maybe a couple of us or you can raise your hands for coming up with a couple other
Okay,
suggestions.
so that was, I'm just on, I just wanted to make sure I'm on track, because I was like, wait, I just want to make sure I'm not crossing over this. So we did discuss this, and then I was there.
Yeah, Laura was she's very protective of the Centennial Grove, right?
No, but because
And-
they're very,
but-
the baby things and
Yeah.
then the other space next to it that they're building, and I get all that.
But it really is not designed. I mean, we don't have a parking lot there. It'll be an art piece like any other art piece right along that road. People are just kind of flying by and it's oh,
Right.
that's nice.
It's not gonna be like they stopped and then they crashed because they were trying to see this piece of art.
No.
But you guys wanted to have further discussion.
I think
Of
it would
course.
look cool there though, standing, and the idea was to let it rust. So it would kind of be a pillar in the trees as they were growing older.
But more than likely, it is mostly because they want to be a part of that discussion. So I think if we actually had discussion with her,
And we did do that.
and then she was okay
Yeah.
after the
Yeah,
discussion.
I think we need to do concerns about it.
And then the other location for the last piece, I think the group came up with at the top of the walkway through the marsh. So we were gonna try to get that idea to the Parks Board, because I think Councilman Marshall even suggested that area for kind of a sculpture walkway.
I think it'd be a cool little art
Yeah.
trail, yeah.
So
absolutely.
if the last Kennebrew set at the top, and if we could like find the right spot, that circle and the piece framed out something off Mailer's Point and introduced those possible installations down through the marsh, I think that'd be great.
That sounds so cool.
So maybe the next Parks Board meeting, they can,
So the next one is Wednesday, I think
Okay.
just sent out. We have Gate of Inspiration placement on the agenda.
okay.
So we'll need to have a representative from the Arts
Okay.
Commission there to speak to that.
What day is that?
Wednesday, May 8th,
No.
or sorry, the
It's a Monday. aren't we?
June 12th, and it is Monday, right? Monday, June 12th,
What time?
at 10 a.m. And that's here in this room.
If JR can't make it, I can make that, I think.
And I can be your backup.
Okay. So before Monday, one of us.
JR, thoughts? You're on mute, so you'll need to unmute if you can hear us.
I actually think that the name Gate of Inspiration and then on the walkway and then the trail. And I think that that space is actually becoming a little bit more busy as people find places to walk. And it becomes like we were talking about, like bringing people there.
In the park.
But it's also good because economic development, there's the little shopping stuff right there too. So people can do like their shopping, or they can get some coffee, or they can whatever. And even if they have kids, to that walk. So I mean, I think that's convenient. It's good. And the park is there too. So it's all like a good space.
Yeah.
Trace,
Just-
I
yeah,
see
just-
you.
I think we're going in the right direction, and because we have Verena's Tao at the top of Scenic Heights and the little known echo chamber with the circle, there are a lot of people in our community that don't have a clue that that could be or will be or is going to be the beginning of a casual stroll through art and nature. And it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, we've already started the top and we've got the bottom, which is if you want to walk all the way down to the marina, you can do that.
And Teresa, I think the last meeting you and Carla were going to walk and identify some possible pad locations.
We were and we have not.
Okay. We
But-
set a date.
Yes.
Okay.
Tomorrow?
Is Carla in or out of town?
I don't know.
I'll send her a text
Okay, thank you.
right now.
And then down to our.
There's JR. JR's unmuted.
Yeah. The first grade concert's about to start. I feel strongly always.
The blanket answer.
JR, can you make the park board meeting on Monday?
Yeah. What time? Is it 11?
10.
10.
Yes.
I was gonna do this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Priorities?
I want to make sure I'm looking at the right agenda because I keep pulling up.
Oh, I'm looking at minutes. Okay,
Oh, you're
it's
looking
all my
at, that's why I was
fault.
like, am I not following
I'm
along?
so
Sorry.
sorry.
No. I just wanted to make sure because I
Well-
pulled up.
The agenda that got sent out
I've got
by
it here.
Kale is actually the May one that she just sent out on Tuesday.
Oh, because I got one in the email notice that had the June date.
Yeah,
It's
Of
all my
today.
fault.
yeah, there's a June date.
Okay, let's back up, everybody. I am so sorry.
Sorry.
We're both looking at-
And I'm just in the other room
That's
listening in for
awesome.
errors, so I'm just,
Right.
I have to do a reporter response, so I'm like.
This is drained out.
You know, we're short-staffed, it's always fun.
Okay, so after public comment, we're gonna back up to number 5. I'm so sorry. Our first action or discussion is our Busker Programs Park. And Joanna and I have met and we walked through the park and we've come up with some paperwork for a program. Jordan, do you want to comment on anything?
I feel like I'm just ready for people to read and kind of work as a group. Like, okay, so we went to the park and we found like 8 to 10 potential spots for a like organized busking program to try and get more people out to Windjammer in a casual way, not like concert style, but just so people walking around can enjoy music. So yeah, we found a few different places that it would be easy to put just like a casual little music playing spot without amplification so that no one's getting in each other's way. And we can have simultaneous busking going on. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the locations that we walked the park last weekend and using the trees that are in the bigger lawn area, or we'll call it the great lawn area. There were about 5 or 6 there, and then walking the perimeter of the park. We came up with anywhere between 8 and 10 locations. So I didn't have a map to mark those out with, but we kind of dotted up something that I had at home that we used before, but most of them were spread out under the trees by the sweeper statue, by the lagoon. There's a grassy knoll that would elevate somebody over by the west end, by the kitchen area there, without interrupting anything that could be going on in either kitchens as far as public usage and rentals. It wouldn't interfere with that. It wouldn't interfere with the pavilion without identifying the pavilion as a location. So what we came up with is taken directly from some of our neighboring communities. And we have no emotional tie to this document. So we're just asking that all of you look at it between now and our next meeting and then come back to us with any comments before we get deeper into, working with some of our codes that the police department has as far as noise and all that kind of stuff. And then hopefully come up with something that's presentable for council to look at.
I think a couple items we'll want to look at is things like insurance requirements. Is there restricted insurance requirements or way around that? Because small performers won't have that, or who want to incur the cost.
Thimble,
Right.
Thimble online one day.
How much is that?
One day, like $50 or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder.
But if they're
Is that
actually
even-
busking and then,
Yeah.
Well, and the permitting fees are typically really minimal. But it is a source of income for our program. And so the considerations or the flexibility in developing this is 1, the fee, 2, locations, 3, how long the permits would be good for. Some areas permit buskers for an entire year, but we thought breaking it down to quarters or trimesters might be more doable. And then obviously the fee structure might be a little bit discounted during our winter months because they wouldn't be able to get out there as often. And if the program really be developed into something really popular, there's examples out there how you can actually share a space. So if the time limit on a busker's performance is 60 minutes or 90 minutes, whatever the committee comes up with, after that time frame, if there's somebody in line at the same gate that has been permitted, and they actually go through a permitting process online that can be developed for payment and all the right requirements for us to approve them, they're given an identification lanyard badge type thing. And our locations in the park would be marked either by a flag or something on the sidewalk, like one of our rain shadow stencils or something with our wind sails on that, numbering them. So
I will check that source, that insurance source for private people to see what I can go in and dummy it just to see, like, for one day, for 3 days, what the cost is for anybody. It's not, and they can do it themselves online. And so they don't have to go find an insurance agent. And then at least
we have a
that's
suggestion.
a
for them.
consideration. If there's something that needs to be put in place, then it's something that could be affordable.
Or could it even be done, and this would be something for legal to address, if it could be done by way of application by just signing a waiver of responsibility, relieving responsibility that
Indemnifying
way.
the city.
Kind of a whole harmless thing.
It would probably still want to have like discussions around what type of performances are allowed, and is there sort of a threshold of, okay, we really don't want you doing fire dancing.
We did, where there
whatever that
are,
might
yeah,
be.
there's some details that can be reviewed and,
I just want to say this is what brought me to the Arts Commission in the first place, because my work with, when I was working with the Island Bohemians and looking to connect North and South Whitby in such a way through youth to potentially like have this idea of busking, but like have a day with like busking at a food truck. It was like busking at one per food truck, and having, so I think this is like
the start is.
that's like, yes. So no, because it's
Right.
it's worldwide,
Yeah.
it's like, it's also the part where we continue to make things Whitby wide versus Oak Harbor wide, and so this is just like an extension, and I think that's
Fantastic.
wonderful.
So in this, in what's stapled here is how, instructions on how to become a busker, a suggested application, and then the rules on performing. So there's 3 separate documents within this packet that we've stapled for you to look at. And Therese and JR, I'll make sure that you get this. I did send it to Mikhail and CC Brian on it late this afternoon, so they can have it electronically.
So JR made a note that the concert has started, so I don't know. He put a chat in, so just as an FYI.
Okay, so that's all we have for that, right?
Yes, yeah, as far as.
Night.
Oop.
Yep, I'm sorry, Therese.
No, I just wanted to know how the buskers were going to be compensated.
They're not.
They're not.
They pay for their permit with a minimum fee, maybe, anywhere between $25 and $40. Maybe it's by location if we feel one location is better than others. But then they just they open up their guitar case or put down their bucket and they're tipped.
And there's
Okay.
no like city rules against soliciting donations or something like that.
I would say let's check the code because I don't have the whole code memorized, but that's something we could look into
Yeah.
and just confirm what the process would be for that. Yeah.
And that's what these programs kind of stand out of. Like, so if the code does say that, because I know Joanna gave us an example before of a friend being booted out of the park with amplification just to have a dance party. So this would not just stand alongside the code. So we've actually permitted those people that want to do something like that. I mean, in New York, there's, besides the Naked Cowboy, there's, the Statue of Liberty painted and people stand and take pictures with her. So there's all kinds of,
But they actually have to
Busking.
go and get a permit. to
yes,
do
and
that.
they're identified. And they have a specific location. They can't just say, oh, I'm gonna go stand over here at this number. They're assigned to a location.
And doesn't Pike do something similar? Because I think my brother-in-law did that once where he filled out a form, you get on a list
Yeah.
and then they contact you. So it's a
Yeah.
really seamless process.
Yeah,
So he liked it for that reason.
yeah. And there's been a lot of performers that come out of the Buskers program in Pike Place that have gone on to do nice things for
Yeah.
themselves. So,
That was one of my concerns, like personally, when like starting this was charging people for a permit to do something that they could otherwise do for free, except you get shut down and you do it for free. So this is a way to allow people to do their business and, maybe make some money from it. But yeah, it's really like, so I was trying to balance those 2 things in my head, like the freedom to do it anyway and the ability to do it functionally. So I'm hoping that allowing for some like structure and permitting, that we can have more freedoms for artists in those public spaces locally.
And maybe Brian, as part of the connection when they're doing the process, that's something that we can, like we have with special events where it connects with PD, we can do that connection. So there's a clear understanding of who these individuals are.
My experience from a couple other parks, one in Edmonds and one in Kent, was that then the artists had the opportunity to sell their CDs.
Southland did this as well.
Okay,
Yep.
wonderful. And that was, so it was a free concert, but then they had their music for sale as well as other items.
Mhm.
One of the artists' jewelry as well.
Exactly.
Jewelry.
And so this really incorporates a fairly large, you know, category of
artists.
performer,
Yeah.
right? And I guess that's really sort of the intent, that it's a musical or some kind of, you know, again, mind
Miming or-
magic, right? Some kind of visual performance.
Mhm. The Bubble
Musical
Man.
performance,
Mhm.
right, yeah. But not, you wouldn't necessarily go through here to do like,
The summer concert series.
or like, let's say you wanted to sell your artwork.
Yeah, no.
I would feel like it'd be more of like, you could do like an art demonstration, maybe if you wanted to like sit out and paint something or something, that's the only thing I can think of, but not really like a stall, like a farmer's market.
Live performance.
Live visual performances, yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Active, you know, find these ways to activate the spaces is solves so many issues, right? Besides bringing people downtown and into the park and around these places, like it kind of clears out some of the homeless loitering around, and it, yeah, it's transformative.
Mm.
It's, you know, lots of-
Great.
Well, it's a great job.
So we'll be working with Main Street with their busker
Yeah.
program, and
I-
will these rules, will that impact what they're doing currently? or-
No, because this is specific to Windjammer Park,
Okay.
so it wouldn't interfere with Main Street's busker program through the summer.
Uh-huh.
I've talked with Margaret Livermore about the generating or this idea, developing this idea. And hopefully we could expand to Pioneer Avenue as other locations outside of their program. So
Right.
let their program run during this month of June and July, and then we take it the off months.
Okay.
With
So
this-
it would just be, I mean, heck, we could go all the way up Midway if it became that popular.
Right.
So,
Then another question is, are these day specific or
That's,
are they or is it through the week?
well, that's up to us as we develop it. So right now, it's not date specific. It's more of you're buying your permit to a specific time frame. So I'm gonna sign up for the first quarter of the month, of the year. So January through March, or whatever the commissioners see appropriate. And my permit allows me to go down and perform during that time frame at that specific location.
Just kind of a first come, first
Yeah.
serve.
And then, like I said, there are, and Pike Place has the best example of it because they are so busy down there that they actually have a really in-depth program of how that inline process happens with that space. So I think they allow their performers 30 minutes. And of course, they have a lot of historical underground locations and things within the market. So there's different perimeters that guide each space, but we're an open space. So this is a blanket policy, right? It's just no amplification. The only consideration I talked to Larry about that was, you know, they come out, they have these little pig amps that don't get really loud and people like to talk through them. So how do you identify that? So that's something else we can talk about when everybody comes back after reading this.
So, I mean, just from a new person in the community, that's kind of interesting because our, we call it busker, we call it something else, it's just a performance license. The reason they would have to get that is because they have amplification, because otherwise without amplification, it's First Amendment, right?
Mhm.
People can express
Sure.
themselves or, you know, say whatever they want.
Sure.
It was the restriction of you can't have amplified, you know, music or different things on city property that this would
Was
be a
it a-
variance to basically.
Was it
So-
above a certain decibel? I mean, how do you measure it was my conversation.
Well, electronic, but you
Yeah.
can't have any kind of.
Oh,
electronic
okay, yeah.
application.
And that's how this is outlined for you guys to look at. That's how this is drafted. There's no amplification.
Right, so that's what I'm wondering is why would they sign for this if they could, like you said, just go to work and do it free? I'm expressing my First Amendment rights.
Because they get booted out.
It's so they won't get booted out because it's against code for them to be performing or whatever.
Is it though?
Is it?
This is what I'm saying. I have not looked
I
at
don't
the
think it
code,
is.
so
Because
I,
I think they can put a case down, as long as they're not on private property, they can put a case down and just start singing, but they don't have amplification.
But is anybody doing it?
Well, so like, there's a guy that does it in front of Safeway all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm
But putting,
with you
I
guys.
hear what you're
I'm-
saying,
I'm
put a
with-
program together that encourages artists.
Right, as a group now it's a thing, and open it up to more than just music, because I feel like Oak Harbor has a fantastic effort into the music,
Do your
and
code
that's where
search.
a lot of the energy goes, and I just like so many more cool things, it's just like, just hearing the live statue comment, like that made my brain like, oh my God, there's so many things that could be done here. So I just feel like making an actual program and a structured thing will bring more people out to like, maybe like, yeah, one guitarist is cool, but 5 guitarists, when you walk around the park and you bring $10 in your pocket and you get to give people $1, that's a family event kind of thing. So I just feel like it'll be a little bit more, hopefully a little more popular, I guess. More people. to the
This
party.
also ensures that there's like a standard of quality,
Mhm.
you know, in the performances.
Sure.
No turtle man.
And we'd also want to kind of look at the logistics of this, you know, is this something that's processed through Parks and Rec, is it something that's similar to a special event permit?
that's what I was wondering too.
Right?
yeah. And I'm pulling
We
up
want to
code.
make it as accessible and intuitive to find and to sign up for. So, you know, that speaks to an online form that, you know, just go on a website, oh yeah, I want to sign up for this, and you know, it's easy.
Mhm.
And then how do we get then that identification? What's that look like? Of, I'm slotted for this thing.
Mhm.
So do we get to talk about this next time, like in more expanded? So
Yes,
can we put that on
that's-
the agenda for next
Yeah.
month?
So I didn't find anything under buskers in the code, but I did find this definition of entertainment. So I think we just need to do a little bit more research into the code and what it specifically says. But just real quick for you, I wanted to pull that up and make sure.
Thank you.
So we're adding to July agenda.
So if there's nothing else, we can move on. I'm sorry I'm looking at the clock and I just messed us up at the beginning of the meeting. So our Oak Harbor Art Survey, we're pretty close, right, Brian?
I haven't made any changes from what we went over at the last work session.
So the only other comment that I got from JR he wanted me to convey tonight was in the activities area where we're asking them to do their top 5. And Sabrina, you might have input on this. If we're really asking our public and our citizens to rank these ideas from level of importance, do it instead of a top 5, is it, no interest to my favorite, like a bullet across everything. So every item is ranked. So that was his only comment, but I think we're fairly close.
I don't remember what meeting it was, but we were having a discussion, I think it was in our programs director retreat. And
Oh,
Sabrina
yeah.
brought up a good point just about just public fatigue with surveys. And I heard that, and I want to be a little bit sensitive to that because we do have a lot of information we want to hear from the public. So maybe we need to have more discussion on, I think we're fairly happy with the format of the survey, but how do we,
Time it.
yeah, how do we get that out?
Accessibility.
Right, and without incurring this public fatigue of, oh gosh, another city survey that I have to do or whatever. I don't know, maybe you can speak to that.
No, I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. One of the things I've been concerned about when we sat at our retreat was there were a lot of different programs coming out, and some of them, like recently with ATP, there was a survey component, which is great. Active transportation plan, we want to know what people think. But sometimes I think it's about scheduling them and making sure that, like, if we're going to do this one, there's no other survey going on. And one of the things that I struggled with was at the end of the ATP survey, The Washington State Ferries was putting something out. The Department of Commerce was putting something out about fair. You know, it was, and for the community, it's like, okay, one more survey. Yeah, and so how do we balance that? And I know we can't always control what's going on elsewhere, but maybe if we can just work a little more strategically internally on that. And then I think Brian brought up a really good point in that session about, do we also look at other, you know, connection groups or groups that we're working with to see if they can help with that. You know, we have advisory groups and, you know, other folks that we work with. So I think it's a combination of finding out the best way to do that and scheduling so that we don't fatigue the community. I know we always try not to do it around like elections because people have got so much stuff that's coming in their mail every day. That's a lot. So we try to work around that already. So I just think it's a balance that we have to maintain.
Do you think that our community though would, I mean, I know as a citizen, if I see a surveys out there and it's not an interest of mine, or I'm not concerned about it, I'm not signing up to take every survey. So do you see the level of interest has something to do with avoiding the burnout?
Oh, I totally agree with that. I think it's something we just need to be aware of when we think about these.
Okay.
And I think we're doing a better job in the outreach side of it, reaching people in different methods and communications. We also now have the utility bill insert, and I'm happy to increase that more if we need to for things like this. But we're starting to use some of our other tools where we can reach everybody at once, because there is a concern about, you know, I didn't see that Facebook post. Well, we're not just doing things on Facebook. We're making sure that we're, you know, trying to touch people in different places and find them where they are. Like the center, we always make sure we put information there. So I think it is a balance. I just want to make sure that we're always thinking about that when we're preparing to put out a survey. I will say when it comes to arts, I think you guys have a lot of community interests from people wanting to understand not only what you're doing, but how you're going about it. And the other piece of this is if we're putting out a survey, I would say we need to build a really good website page together that explains to people, because people like to, we found with ATP, people like to see the survey and then go back to see a detailed explanation if they want that.
Yeah.
And sometimes we also film some of you to talk about it, and that's more engaging, like when we did What's Up Woodby Avenue. It connected with the community more. Sorry.
And that brings up a good point. One of the questions on there actually has reference to Napoli. It's something we didn't really talk about with, okay, how do we get this out? Do we want to have like paper versions at some locations and stuff like that?
And we do
When
that.
we're talking about placement of public art and placement, and where would you like to, where would you like to see more public art? North Harbor, we have these, but then there's also, oh yeah. Where specifically would you like to see new public art pieces? Feel free to pin these locations on our map here. Now, we could take that question out if we have other format than online, but
That's where we were relying on Sabrina.
right.
Well, and again,
I mean, really.
Brian, you know, reminded me, you know, one of the things we can do, we don't get a ton of turnout for it, is do a community event night where we have that. And you guys are talking about your art sculpture locations, the different art pieces, and that can help us also get all that information together you've been wanting to do for a while. So, you know, we could talk about each of the art pieces so people understand them, and then have the survey and a map where people could, you know, I don't know how we want to do it, but you know, there's different projects where they do different ways of putting items on a board so you can specify where it's important to you. So I think that might be a good way to engage with the community. That's one of the things we did at Holland Happenings, is we had a booth and we were out talking to people about the program for ATP.
Coffee and cookies. I like that. I was gonna ask if it would be like, we all are a part of something, you know, some Rotary or the chamber. You know, are those places where you had the survey and asked those organizations for 5 minutes of their meeting times, because they all meet, they all have different demographics, to fill out the survey? Versus like, you know, if something comes to the mail and for me, and I got a bill, it's going in the trash. I'm not doing it. The older population, they're not trying to do anything online because they don't trust it. And so trying to kind of interact with varying degrees, Boys and Girls Club, you know, the parents are picking up their kids, so we have that demographic, right? And they get a survey and we, you know, ask, but also that idea of having, you know, Arts Commission night somewhere, you know, and cookies and juice for filling out a survey for us. Thank you so much, and get a sticker. We love you all. I mean, that kind of
All
thing.
part of the plan.
So, I mean, volunteering for being in front of Safeway and asking for, no, seriously, because that's where the most demographic is gonna come, or whatever grocery store, everybody shops and everybody eats, and we don't have a lot of places to do that here, so it's, they're, you know, specific. So I'm down for sitting at a table 1 week and getting survey stacks. And do that.
And we've had some success with doing just business card size. I now have a lot of them that I can print up. Business cards with the QR code and what you're doing real quick. People like to grab that because then I can take it with me and go click when I'm sitting somewhere else. The other thing is just working with maybe some of the students in art. When we did, I believe it was Windjammer, and I believe you were there for the community focus group. But one of the things the tribal community said, which I thought was brilliant, was, you know, get with like local art students and have them go to Regency or some of those agencies where the older people can't get out as much, but they still want to be a part of the community, and have them walk around with an iPad and help people fill them out.
Yeah.
So it's another way of engaging, or in a park on a Saturday, you know, when the splash park is going and more people are there, fill it out. So it's another way of engaging with them. And we do have an older iPad that, you know, we could utilize with students to do that with, or they could hand out QR codes, you know, on cards. So there are different avenues that we can definitely look at for doing that.
That sounds,
So
the
how,
possibilities. are-
Brian, how do you see this rolling out outside of considering the timing and the accessibility? How do we go from, now we've got the questions, we know what we want to do, how do we come up with, does this group come up with all of those ideas that Sabrina was, you know, add to that idea list of what we're going to do with it and pick a date?
Yeah, I mean, Sabrina is the communications expert for the city, so I definitely rely on her expertise as far as, you know, what works best in the community.
Yeah, like next step.
So, I mean, you could definitely sort of plaster the different formats and have some paper copies available at our facilities. Put it on the website, send it on our social media. You can put it in a utility. But I don't know.
I think what might be easiest is that if there's one or two of you from this committee who want to meet with me, we can sit down and talk about that list and then bring it back to the whole group, just because that breaks it up a little bit, makes it a little bit more efficient with our time. So that might be a successful way to do that. I mean,
Okay.
similar to what we've talked about with doing with the sculpture information. If there's a couple of people who work with me and we just make a meeting and we start breaking those down and getting them done, I think it's a similar process to that. Yeah.
You're in?
And then
I'll raise my hand.
Okay.
So we'll
catch
put,
me while I'm here.
okay. We'll put Mary Elizabeth and my names. And
Okay.
you can just shoot us sometimes that works
Yes.
for your busy schedule.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
And then is there a deadline for this that you're planning to get out? Just so okay, that's why I wanted to be confirmed. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Open the door.
Okay,
Yeah,
too
it's
hot.
We're
70.
at
Yeah,
10
sometimes
minutes
in this
to
room.
6. Do we need to like make a motion to extend our meeting, or are we just gonna run it over time? Okay. So let's just get on down and see where we go. So the draft for the RFP for art plan consultant.
Okay, so wanted to have we'll try and make a brief discussion, or we can also do like a little committee if you guys want to work on putting a draft together with me, but would like to have a larger group discussion on the scope of what you want to have in this RFP. Just to give you an idea of, so when I went through this process 3 years ago, the RFP, this is what we had in there. The following goals have been established for this community planning process, including but not limited to the following: commitment to an inclusive and collaborative process with the public, defining a shared vision that is authentic to the city, facilitating the development of a shared understanding that arts and culture contribute positively to communities, focusing on building lasting networks, relationships, and partnerships, emphasizing place-based strategies for public art, customized for the city, building on existing community priorities and strategic plans, making community input activities fun and creative. So we want to kind of make a framework of, hey, we want your thoughts on how are you going to do this plan with these goals of how we want this interaction with the public to proceed. And then we set out and identified our scope through, just says that the art board and the city staff have identified the following goals of interest for the art plan. These should be considered as a starting point and evaluated in the planning process. So kind of the deliverables of what we wanted to see out of this plan. Illustrate how arts, culture, and creativity can create a sense of place, community, identity, and contribute to city branding. Identify key near and long-term actions to create opportunities to enliven and enhance public spaces throughout the city with arts and cultural activities. Investigate and craft guidelines and procedures directing the call for art process. That was a big one because the city wanted to kind of formalize how to do the call for arts process and to put on our website and kind of help us when we're making those decisions for spending of art funds. Explore and demonstrate how public art can support and enhance the activities of all city programs like parks and recreation, economic development, and infrastructure. Shape a vibrant public art program, including policies and procedures for acquiring, commissioning, and placement of new art, as well as preservation and restoration of historical artwork, and assessing the public art collection for gaps and opportunities. Recommend new funding opportunities and ways to leverage resources, uncover new partnerships to enhance the delivery of events and arts activities, assess event activity in the city offered by all organizations and recommend ways to increase quality, establish tools to measure our success and tell the story of our impact, uncover ways to encourage and support the creative economy and creative entrepreneurs. So that was kind of a broad scope of what we wanted to see in our request for qualifications of scope of deliverables, right? Just to give you an idea of what's gone into our art plan, and this kind of follows fairly similar to other art plans that I've seen around. We can create that scope however you want. What is most important for you? Is it placemaking and placement of public art? Is it art programs? Is it creating opportunities for artists within the community? How do we promote local artists and artwork? Or is it celebrating culture and diversity and special events, things like that? What are those things that are most important to you? And that's going to kind of create our scope for this request for qualification. Let's see. The rest is just mostly city legal stuff. The attached general scope of work, Exhibit A, will be finalized with consultant and maybe submitted with the attached professional services agreement, Exhibit B. For consideration. Anyway, so that's kind of how I did it last time. That was a $50,000 art plan project. We were very happy with the results. We not only got our plan, but we got like 3 times as large as the art plan appendix. And that led to all kinds of different things. Art walk, including public art placement as part of the development process. So they could either work with the art board in placement of public art with new development or public project improvements, or pay a fee in lieu, and the city would run those public art placements, kind of like a landscaping kind of requirement, right, for development. It also created a funding mechanism that was like, it was like 0.1% of development fees, and then we had a cap for it, to make sure that it wasn't burdensome at all for developers, but it gave different funding like recommendations and stuff like that. So just to give you a little bit of background and I guess prime your thoughts on what you want to see in the scope. What's important to you? Is it funding, how we're paying the funding? Is it programs and placements? celebrating communities as a local office? Is it all those things?
I
right?
think it's all those things that I'm seeing. Everything that you were outlining is an all-inclusive plan that would trickle down into our commissions, our CW's responsibilities being expanded. But that's the start of it.
So how do you want to proceed with this? I know we're short on time now. We can either break off two of you to sort of work with us on drafting this RFP. We could just include it in our next work session, and we'll just kind of all
Let's
hammer
do
it out
that.
together. We could throw it online. You guys can give your thoughts on, hey, you know, this is what I'd like to see in the scope.
Work session.
Or we can
Yeah.
do that in.
Yeah, let's do it at the work session, and then if we see the need of a subcommittee to be formed from that discussion, we can identify it, because everybody could be around the table then. You can take a lunch break on the line.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, like, I'm starting to get busier at work, but I should be able to take at least an hour. So from leaving work, getting there and getting back, I should be able to spend like a half hour, 45 minutes with you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good next step.
Okay, I will send that on.
Thank you. So excited about that. Update on Acorn coloring page.
Wow.
Put it back.
Was that? Is staff going to bring that back, or was that someone else?
I think the hand sketch that Laura and our artist developed, we were going to take to the powers to be.
Now, we have on a whole box of these coloring pages, right? That we took them to the Arbor Day event. at
Oh, it was
Westview
approved?
Elementary. It's
little
not the one,
acorn?
not the old one that you saw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's different.
I was like, what?
No, it's not that one.
No,
I must have
did
mixed
you
up.
I have not done it. No, I haven't been assigned anything, so I wait for somebody to tell me to do something.
Okay, let's table that one.
It turned out well.
You can bring it
Sorry,
to our workshop.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's something you want me to do, just let me know, Brian. I'm more than happy to.
I'm trying to remember the discussion of why we put this on the agenda. Like, do you guys want to?
We never saw it. I think that our vision was when we finally had a ribbon cutting, that
Yes.
coloring contest was going to be launched at the same time and to preface the ribbon cutting. But you're saying there was something at Arbor Day with the little acorn man?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it wasn't big. No. it
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
big.
It was a
It
tree?
was a coloring page, right? And I'll have to bring a copy.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a digital one to show you guys, but
Okay,
I can take a picture of it, send it around.
okay, thank you.
If you want to do
And then last discussion item is Parks and Recs update.
You, do you have
Parks
it?
and
Yeah.
Rec
Oh, director.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, that's you. Sorry, Brian, I'll help, but
Yeah, no.
I'm not
Okay.
Mikhail. I'm just trying to say.
All right, yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
okay.
that's you. Oh, yeah. The bell tolls. He's like, he clocked out. He clocked out.
It's been a long
I have
week.
another meeting after this too. No, all right, I'll be brief. Angel placement. So presented that to council and they approved the recommended placement. So right now we are working through the 4 permits. We have so we have the site plan, the shoreline substantial development permit, the shoreline variance, and the conditional use. And each one of these things has like 8 items with the permit too, right? There's a development application, proposed site plan narrative, mailing label,
That's
alerts,
right.
critical area identification form, SEPA checklist, wetlands report, preliminary storm water design report, preliminary O&M manual, traffic study.
Oh, my God.
And that's just one of the permits, right? No,
And how
times
did
up
that
by 4.
seal get placed in front of the pool so easily?
Anyway.
Just asking.
So council's good with the placement. We talked about the Flagstaff briefly and the taking out of that roundabout section. So once we get the permits all finalized, which I think I heard from Gideon would be like maybe 8 weeks out. So we're looking at probably a fall installation is what I told council. So we won't be bringing it back to council. You'll have to break my arm to ever do that. and we shouldn't. need
We
to,
would not
so-
suggest it, I
No
promise.
I'm just gonna work with you on the website page. That's
Yeah.
it.
And that was definitely something that came out from
Councilmember Stuckey.
Brian Stuckey, yeah. He was the only one that didn't vote in favor. And I just approached him afterwards, and just asked, hey, is there anything you can do to alleviate any concerns you have, or what's the issue? I don't know that he necessarily had a major issue with it, other than, he wanted to be careful with the communication side, and make sure that we're doing everything we can to let the community know, hey, this is what we're doing. It's not a surprise. But I kind of laughed at that. We could put a billboard on 20 and like have it all over the place, and there'll still be people that will jog by 3 months after we put it there and look up, where'd this come from? Why didn't anyone tell me we were putting this?
Well, we did try to help, I'm gonna say mitigate, that's the word I'm choosing. In the recap, usually we're very brief in council items with the subject matter, but we did try to expand a little bit more to explain some of the detail. And so hopefully that will help as well, because usually if people are looking for how we decided something or what happened at a council meeting, that's a quick way for people to reference.
And also, this project has changed, right? At the beginning of it, it was a red statue. There was, where it was being placed. So a lot of people made some opinions based on very early things of, oh, I don't want this, like,
Was
Right.
superimposed.
yeah, exactly. Like
The red was superimposed
Angel
for
dust.
it was, the red was superimposed by the newspaper, so it was not the red.
So it was a color preference issue. It was a location. Some people were worried, oh, if we put this in Windjammer, we won't get our windmill. It
Now
was
you get both.
it's a Spanish name. I don't like that. That doesn't represent our
Dutch heritage.
Right. and,
It's not Dutch now.
whatever. right?
We
Yeah,
lived it.
so
We
there's a,
lived-
don't relive it.
you guys know, yeah.
We're on this side of it now, and it's
Yeah.
actually something that's seemingly positive. And I think that I'm loving that the council is actually working towards positive versus and minimizing it as a political issue. So I think that whatever happened before was then, and right now we're in this space where there's actual communication and coexistence and collaboration. So I think that this is all positive.
So something to celebrate. You should all give yourselves a pat on your back for persistence and keeping up.
I think I want
with
to
it.
post that poem again.
Yeah.
Let's see, utility boxes update. We already talked about the 10,000. Windmill. So speaking of windmill, there was a concern that was raised by Steve Schuler, the public works director, who saw a rendering of a windmill. This is a project that's being run by the Rotary. It's obviously in collaboration with the city, since it's being placed in the city park, but he was kind of concerned by the look of it. It wasn't a sort of traditional windmill. I mean, we thought that we probably ought to run this through the Parks Board and maybe the Arts Commission and just get some eyes on the design and make sure that the community is going to be happy with the direction of this, right? And not have the same, like, I guess, knee-jerk reaction that the Angel had, right? with the
Well, and
community.
this is, if I might just interject, and I know Eric's involved with this as well, being part of that group that's raising the funds. But this is part of why we need a plan so desperately, is because those procedures are in place. But this
Right.
installation would have to follow the same process as once the funding is there in place and they have their blueprint, and they would have to come to the city, starting with the parks and starting with the arts and then going to council. It's not just gonna all of a sudden, build it and they will come. So it's process.
Right, yeah.
So
So just put that on your radar. I haven't even seen the renderings of it, so I'm curious what it looks like. I was just imagining it looking like the old one.
well, it's more than a windmill.
Yeah.
It's a place that people can go into, like it's a space. It's a space that you can interact with and rent, and so
Will they have renderings at the fundraiser tomorrow night?
They should, yes. And then my understanding is they have the original plans that they're basing them off of.
Okay, I
Well, I'm
was
not
just
sure where the
curious.
concerns are, yeah. And then the rendering that Ryan Wallen had was based upon the traditional Dutch windmill, and then they call it, but he actually had the name of it, and it's based almost on like the original dress.
Have you
Oh.
seen the renderings?
I had, yeah.
Okay, then you don't have any concerns with
I didn't, it's, other than the size, it's
Huge.
big, yeah. And then, so I'm just concerned about the maintenance on it, how we're gonna get to those upper, because it's up there. Yeah, and so what we're gonna do to get up there to clean it and be able to maintain it and stuff, that's my concern, given the size. But I do like the orientation. I mean, we've gone out there to the site, and whereas the original blades were kind of this way, and so when you took a picture of the blades, you were really taking a picture of the city behind it. We're actually flip it the other direction, so the blades are facing the city. So when you take a picture of it, you've got the beautiful view of the water behind you. Yeah, so that part should be nice, and then you actually should be able to see the windmill from the city then. So as you're coming down the highway, you should actually see it. It should be a draw as well.
So I think this is a good opportunity to maybe get some public comment and eyes on and have some discussion, because sometimes things sound really good in a very small group, but then the general public are like, well, why'd you orient it that way? That's
Right,
not what
right.
we were imagining or whatever.
Yeah.
So it lets us work through and some of these possible concerns, long before we get to a final return. Making any changes is more difficult. And then I think we're going to have Maria's presentation on the culture.
And the Japanese garden.
Yeah.
Oh, Teresa has a,
Oh, yeah. Teresa?
Reese, you had something?
Do we have a date for the workshop?
We do. I'll get to it before we adjourn, Trace.
Okay, and I've communicated with Carla. She's on her way back from Yakima, and she's gonna look at her calendar, and we're probably gonna walk next week.
Awesome.
Lotus Tea Bar?
Yes.
I don't know,
Maria.
Yeah. So I think that's going to go on we're trying to get her to this one, but
July.
yeah, we'll do the next one. That's all I have.
Okay, member comments. Anybody else have anything on their mind?
When it comes to the windmill, I fully agree that those types of processes should go through all the commissions involved, the parks.
Sure.
Yeah, everybody should kind of have their hands on it.
Same checklist.
Exactly, and that way we can kind of look at it and make sure it meets all of our needs.
That way, when the day comes that someone's jogging through the park and looks up, and like, where'd this come from? I don't know.
It'll still
Like,
happen.
We filtered it through like every
It'll
possible.
still happen.
But it's like,
Yes.
It will.
I mean, if we're
At least we have that
in
time.
the corporate way, whenever there's doing, departmentally, and there's, they're changing a program, and then every department has to sign off and check and see if the functionality goes with them. So, I mean, if we have that process in place and the checklist and who's gonna sign off, then I think that's even,
There's no room for.
and that's more communication as we keep moving forward. I think that in a short amount of time, we've amped up to a very high level of communication and again, collaboration with each other.
And adequate, opportunity for the community to give feedback and feel like their voices are heard.
Right.
My only comment is $50,000 for the RFP. That sounds like a bargain. I mean, I've been looking at doing some needs analysis on different things, and those are expensive. So coming up with that extensive of a plan at that price.
That was
point,
that was the plan, not to see.
50,000. How many years ago was that?
2019, we put
Oh,
out the
not so long
RFP.
ago.
We did it
Okay.
right smack in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay, awesome. Determination of future agenda items is the last item listed here. And so maybe out of our workshop, we can come up with different things. Was put in my ear about some emblems being stenciled on the street that you found a rendering of that was pretty cool. So we'll add that, Eric. And I think the Walk of Honor would be a cool.
Yeah, I thought right over
intersection.
that. Yeah, there would be
Right
really
there,
cool
right
to do
before the
something
Rock
like
of
that.
Honor.
Yeah.
If you want to mention what that is.
It actually wasn't my idea. It was from Main Street. Teresa sent me an email this morning that one community, what was in Michigan or something, they were doing their crosswalks in honor of the military. So one of them said US Navy, and then another one was US Army.
that's
And
cool.
yeah, and so it was just kind of a cool concept to spruce up their crosswalks a little bit,
Especially-
while honoring the military. And
And we have that walk of honor that crosses off out of Pioneer up at Midway with the flags there. That would be.
And on the weekend, I mean, it is a
appropriate.
really, actually, the more than when I first moved here, the families are on the weekend, they're coming and visiting. Like you might just be walking down Main Street and see like the parks director and his family, something, you know? Or even, and then right behind them, there's like a city council member. So I mean, you know,
Yep.
these are the good things that are happening. And I think that those are, you know, just more places to accommodate families. And I think that
Photo ops.
exactly.
officer, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing that too. But I think it's really good.
Yep. So before I call for adjourning, just to note, our next workshop is scheduled for the 6th of July at noon at Brian's office. And then our next regular session is July 13th at 5 o'clock.
Too much. Wait,
Can I call for, I'm sorry,
July 6th, what time?
noon for lunch, working lunch. And then next regular meeting is July 13th at 5. And with that, can I call for a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you. Give that to Eric and second to Mary Elizabeth.
Did you vote?
Vote. Oh, all in favor. Teresa
Mayor
Zell.
Bob would say, wave
Yeah.
goodbye.
Thank you.